compliment to Najee, but I think Najee's still going to be RB1 by the end of the year.
Hmm.
Because we played Broderick Jones at right tackle. I think we drafted him at left guard, but he played right tackle because of an injury last Thursday against the Titans, and it was our best rushing game of the season so far.
Wow.
So that was pretty solid.
Hmm.
Jalen looked pretty good. Najee looked pretty good. I think they both went for like around 70, 80 yards. Had like
Hmm.
160 yards total. So pretty solid game. But I think Najee's gonna still be the workhorse. But Jalen is a really good compliment for late in the game.
For
He's
sure. I
definitely
mean,
more explosive.
yeah. I mean, that's always good to have a good compliment bag, just in case injuries may happen. And that leads me to my next point is earlier in the season, I think everybody could tell Najee didn't look as explosive as years past, but you mentioned to me earlier that he had a foot injury that kind of plagued him early on in the season. Now that he should be fully
Yeah,
healthy,
yeah.
I
Last year it was
think
a really big deal for him.
yeah, I think he should be fine now. So I think Najee's still going to be the running back one for the Steelers, but next year I think it could be the Jalen Warren show, just depending on how much he develops. But right now I think it'll still be Najee, and by the end of the year I think it'll still be kind of a split backfield, but Najee should be the lead guy.
I hope so. Najee's good if he just
Yeah,
has good
oh yeah,
line play.
for sure. Yeah, the line is definitely not great.
No one's gonna be good behind a terrible line.
Mm-mm. Exactly.
Except for like
Let's
Barry Sanders, maybe
got to build up them trenches.
for sure.
What are your thoughts on that stash?
I think that I'm in agreement. I think Najee had, but the last little bit, Najee's looked really good. But I'm in agreement.
Yeah, yeah.
I think the backfield, I think the splits are going to differ next season more.
Hmm. I could see
Last
that.
Thursday
Yeah.
we went around. It was around I think like 55% of the snaps were for Najee and the other 45 were for Jalen. So it's almost split already, which I think is
Yeah,
pretty good. That was
No, no.
perfect.
for sure. All right, we'll go ahead and move on to our next segment. Who is the better quarterback rivalry? Peyton Manning versus Tom Brady or Jim Kelly and Dan Marino?
See what you got to say, Stash. What are you thinking? I see you thinking over there.
I only got to watch one of those. I'm gonna be real with you,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm gonna take Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning. Like the
Mhm.
AFC Championship was one of those guys for like the majority of like the 2000s, 2010s
yeah.
too. Like it was just them. They battled it out. I think Peyton beat him. Like I think this Peyton has one win on him if I remember correctly. It's real
Only
close.
one? Is
It's
that
it's
for real?
real close if I remember. Like it's less than like 3 games.
Hmm.
Hmm. I wonder what the difference is in playoffs though.
I don't know
Yeah.
what playoffs. I
I think
mean,
Brady would have to take that one.
Brady'd have to. I mean, with all the rings he's got, he has to have that.
What are your thoughts on that, Spencer? Spencer
I'm
Dog.
probably gonna go Brady Manning too, just because I didn't watch the Dan Marino and Jim Kelly thing. But I
Hmm.
looked it up a little bit earlier, trying to figure out some stuff, and I'm pretty sure just Peyton and Brady had more games overall.
Yeah.
It's like a closer rivalry, and like each year, either one of them was winning the Super Bowl pretty much, or one was winning MVP. They were
Yeah.
running the whole show for what, like 16 years or something crazy.
Yeah.
Pretty much my entire childhood was just them.
Exactly. I would have to agree with both of you guys. I think Jim Kelly and Dan Marino is definitely a great watch. I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to watch those guys. They're two prolific passers. They're great quarterbacks all time. But when you think of the NFL and the history of the game, you're thinking Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning because, like you mentioned, Spencer. I mean, whoever won that matchup in the postseason most likely won the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
So I mean that holds a lot of significance behind that itself. But I mean, there was a lot more games played between the two and just this historical significance. And not only that, Peyton Manning is a top two, top three quarterback of all time locked. And then you've got
yeah.
the GOAT, Tom Brady.
I was about to say that. If you look at top three, they're both in there.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So,
I mean, if you just think about how many times they went to Peyton Manning and Tom Brady went to the Super Bowl. So Peyton went four in the AFC, and then Brady went six.
mm,
That's 10. What was it? No, Brady went 10 times. No, it's 9 times. Plus, yeah, plus four. It's 13 times. 13 years. It was one of those two.
that's crazy. And Tom Brady's more likely to be in a Super Bowl than Steph Curry making a three.
Yeah,
So that's
that
pretty
one's
wild.
nuts.
Hey, luckiest QB of all time though. I'm a little bit of a Brady hater. I'm taking
Oh,
Peyton
we're gonna
every
have
day
the
of the week. If we were building a team, I'm taking Peyton.
we're
That's
gonna
all I'm
get
saying.
into a little debate here now. Uh-oh.
Brady's had the luckiest things happen to him. I mean, he's obviously good at the game, but
Mhm.
he is extremely lucky.
Oh,
Mhm.
Just
definitely.
at the course of everything.
If Bledsoe never went down, it'd be a lot different, possibly.
I
But
mean, I think he would have eventually worked his way up to the lineup, but you never know.
yeah, that is true. I mean,
And
there's a
then
lot of deciding factors.
without the
But
call in the Raiders game to get him to the Super Bowl that like first time, like how does that work out? Just so many things fell into pieces to work in Brady's favor. I mean, he was to be fair, he was there to take control of the opportunities.
mhm,
That's all it's about, just
exactly,
being there for it. But
making the best of your opportunities.
He's had a
I
lot of
think,
game-winning drives too.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's pretty good at that. The Falcons will tell you that one firsthand.
I
I think there's a
Yeah.
stat where if the Falcons just need the ball every play, they would have won that, but they didn't.
That's wild. All right, we'll go
Is
ahead
what
and
it
move on
is.
to our next segment. That was a good little bit there. Who will have the better legacy by the end of their careers? Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes? I'll start with you, Stash.
I'm gonna say Patty, and my reasoning on Patty is he's already got a head start with 2 rings and like 2 MVPs. That's already kind of big. Like,
Yeah,
so I mean he's already got a head start on him on that. Burrow has been to a Super Bowl, so he's got that over a lot of other young QBs. But I mean, I just think Patty's just doing it. I just don't see Burrow taking over that reign as like that number one guy. So not yet, anyways.
better coach and better surrounding cast
Yeah,
too. I think around
that
Very
Patrick,
true.
100% a factor.
and the refs
Bet
love him.
Rest
That
in-
helps.
that's it. That's it. The script is on his side every year.
Yeah.
But I think it comes down to, I mean, one guy has the greatest, or not the greatest, but a top three, top four tight end of all time. Other quarterback does not. So I think you could go either way personally, per se, but I'm gonna be the outlier here. I think Joe Burrow's gonna have the better career all time.
For real.
When it comes down to his legacy, I think he's gonna have at least 2 or 3 MVPs or more. You know what it could be? Getting done talking about Peyton versus Tom, it could very much be the same debate for our generation of Joe versus Patrick Mahomes. So I like Joe Burrow a lot. I think Patrick definitely has a leg up on him right now, but I'm gonna go ahead and say Joe is gonna have the better legacy all time because they lock up Jamar Chase, his best weapon on offense. If they retain some other pieces, I mean they've got a good chance at making the playoffs pretty much every year, alongside the Chiefs. So I think if the Bengals want to make a push for the Super Bowl, their window is now, so they've got to capitalize, and I think they will. I think in the next 5 years they'll win 2 Super Bowls.
Ooh.
Wow. I hope not as a Steelers fan, but I
Yeah,
could see it. They're good, obviously. They had a really rough start to the season.
they
I thought
did
Joe
for
Burrow
sure.
was just gonna finally not be good anymore, but looks like
Exactly.
he's back.
Yes.
Looks really good.
Yeah,
But Patrick's
that is
28. He's already won 2 Super Bowls, and
that
I
is
even wrote some
crazy.
stuff here. He's number 4 all time when it comes to most passing yards in a season.
Mm,
That's pretty huge. And if you
that
look at the
is.
company surrounding him there, he's like that's all time greats up there.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's tied for number 2 with most passing touchdowns in a season. That was that same
Mm-hmm.
season. He's one of
I will
3
say
QBs
this.
ever to get 50 touchdowns in a season. That is insane.
Mm. All right, come postseason time, if Travis Kelsey is somewhat ineffective, he's always effective. But let's say he's kind of shut down for the playoffs. If he's hurt, let's say he's hurt.
Yeah, a little hurt, ankle injury or something.
Who does the Chiefs go to number one receiver? Who does
Um,
Patrick? Who should he rely on? Because they don't really have anybody besides Travis.
they've been going to Rice a lot lately. That's been who's kind of taken over that role as that
Yeah.
number one. And well, besides Kelsey, of course, but that number one wide
Mhm.
receiver. So like that's who they're going to now. But I believe I'm in agreement. So if Kelsey goes down, that's their offense is kind of in
That's a
shambles.
huge hit.
It
Mm-hmm.
is.
We saw it week 1 with the Jets. The Jets
We
beat them
Exactly.
without Aaron Rodgers. I mean, they didn't have who's their D lineman guy that was out too?
Chris Jones.
Yeah, Chris Jones was out. That made a difference, obviously too. But I think Kelsey was a bigger difference in not having
I
him.
I agree. I think so. Before the season started, me and Stash predicted our breakout players of the year, and I had Sky Moore for the Chiefs. He has not been showing up this year. I mean, I think it'll take at least another year or two for him to break out, but I don't know. He could be the guy in the playoffs for them if Kelsey were to go down, but I don't have a lot of faith in those Kansas City receivers. I mean, they got MVS, who's kind of a vet in that receiver room, but there's not a whole lot of guys that kind of scare you.
That's the problem with them this year. This is like the first year of like the Patrick Mahomes era where the offense has kind of not been great.
Hmm.
Their defense kind of has been doing better than usual, but their offense is not doing as well.
Exactly. And honestly, the defense has been really good this year for them, so that could really help them in the playoffs. Plus, a good running game. If Kelsey was to go down, they could rely on the run game a lot more.
That's true. Like what they hold, the defense held the Dolphins to like 14 the other day,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
And yeah, and they scored
Tyreek Hill,
70 this season. So
he said he was going to get his, and he did not. They shut down that offense, but it's crazy.
I think we'll see playoff time though. They're definitely gonna make playoffs.
Oh yeah, for sure. They will
Definitely.
be. We'll go ahead and move on to our next segment, everybody. Who is the best kicker of all time in the NFL of history ever?
There ain't no way we all don't have the same answer for all this.
Yeah, this has to be the same answer for all three of us. And his last name's better start with a V.
B.
Yeah,
All
V.
right, let's start with Stash. Let's go. Let's go.
Vinatieri.
Yeah.
Vinatieri's the best kicker of all time.
Most
All right.
clutch, yeah.
Like that's who I like think of. I'm like he's a clutch kicker and like he played for New England, got Super Bowls, and he played for Indianapolis and got a Super Bowl. He may have the most.
He helped Brady a lot.
Yeah. In those first three, I think they only won by 3 points, but still, like he was the guy that won them the game.
That is true. That is true.
Spence, though? Who you got, Spence?
And I'm a Steelers fan, and I gotta go with Justin Tucker for the Ravens.
That's fair.
Yeah,
He has the record, so I understand. Like I get it. He has the record.
Oh, he has 3 crazy stats I wrote down here. Number 1 all time when it comes to field goal percentage ever.
Oh.
He has the longest field goal, obviously, 66 yards. And
Yep.
he's never. I'm pretty sure this is still. I think it might have been from last year, but I'm pretty sure he has still never missed an extra point ever.
Wow.
Like that is insane.
That is crazy.
He's ridiculous. Yeah.
And like as a Ravens fan, and even as a Steelers fan, watching the Steelers Ravens game, I'm like, okay, if it's down to 3 and they have the ball, like if it's 3 or less points, like we lose the game if they get close enough. Like there's no way he misses. It's just like
It's just like automatic, pretty much.
Yeah, there's not a doubt in your mind he's gonna make it.
Yeah, that's true. I think you either go Vinatieri or Tucker. If you'd ask me 4 years ago, I'd have said Vinatieri, but currently I'm going to go with Tucker because Spencer listed all the points that I was going to hit on. I mean, the man is just a machine, and he has the longest field goal of all time. So I'm going to go ahead and say Justin Tucker for my best kicker of all time.
Chris Boswell has been goated this year, though. Just saying.
I would if I look at this, I'd be like, I would say if Justin Tucker's the best kicker of all time, Vinatieri's the most successful kicker.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, you know who my wild card is?
Who's that?
Rob Baronis. No, R.I.P.
R.I.P.
But Justin
I think
Tucker
would be clutch if he got the same amount of opportunities as Vinatieri did in the playoffs.
Man,
the Patriots were a way better team.
The Ravens are just crazy this year.
Yeah, but they still lost to the Steelers.
They did.
You know who was
they
giving,
did.
Justin Tucker a run for best kicker for the 2023 season, though?
Was it the Minnesota kicker?
No.
Detroit?
The Falcons kicker, Young Ku. He's been automatic this year, man. He's been going crazy.
Don't you have him in fantasy?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
That's why he knows. That's why he knows.
He's kind of been putting up some points for JT.
But realistically, he's been pretty much consistent with every kick he had this year. I mean, if it's over 50 yards, you know he's nailing it. So I think those are the top 2 kickers currently in the league. But for all time, you got to go either Vinatieri or Justin Tucker. I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like any other answer is just trying to be cool.
Trying to be a hipster, trying to sound something.
Trying to get some clicks.
Nah.
All right, so we'll go ahead and move on to the next segment here. Who are the top 3 best trash talkers of all time in any sport?
I got a crazy answer for one of these.
One.
All right, I'll go ahead and start with you, Spencer. Just lead us off.
All right, if any of you guys have the same ones as these, just say it. I feel like we all gotta have Larry Bird.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a really good one.
Yeah, I had Larry. Larry's probably the best ever.
He's the GOAT of trash talking, in my opinion. Just the stories you hear about him, like, what is it? He literally played a whole game with his left hand just to, like, say F you to the other team.
Just because he could, you know.
Just because he could. And I heard he would literally look you in the eye and tell you what he's about to do and then do it. And you wouldn't be able to stop him.
And people say he couldn't play in modern basketball currently. Come on, be
I mean, yeah,
serious.
whatever.
Yeah, that's
People are
Jokic
better
does it
ridiculous.
every
shooters all
night.
around now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Who
he's
would
not
your other
like
two
a.
be?
Okay, I was just gonna say he's like people are prolific shooters nowadays, but like, you don't think Bird would have figured out how to shoot better if it was now?
Exactly.
Mhm.
He'd have had time to work on his craft a lot more.
Yeah, yeah. All right, number two, I went like a little different sport for everyone
Okay.
instead of like all
Mhm.
the same one. But number two, I'm gonna say if you want to say it's a sport, which I think it is, obviously, is Conor McGregor.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Yeah,
Prime
I
yeah.
love it. I
McGregor.
love it.
Prime McGregor.
Oh,
Yes.
that's a
Yeah.
great one. I didn't think about that. That is
Ooh.
great.
Yeah, yeah. Because Prime McGregor, it gets in your head. You
He
lose the
does,
fight before
man.
it even happens. He would
Yeah.
just say everything, and like Khabib almost killed him and his whole team after the whole fight. Like it's just crazy. And then what was
Yeah.
it? He broke his ankle, and then he's laying down on the ground with Devin. What's his name? Poirier.
Yeah.
And he was fighting
Dustin
him.
Poirier, yeah.
Yeah, and his wife's in his DMs. It's
Your
like, come
wife's
on
in the
now.
DMs.
Conor McGregor is a
Yeah.
great
Okay.
choice. I didn't even
Prime
think
McGregor
about
goes
that.
crazy.
That is great.
And then number
Watch
three,
out.
this one is the wild card one, which you can say it's a sport, whatever. I think it is, and I think Stash would agree. But I got Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, for wrestling,
Oh
the
my god.
goat on the mic.
Ooh.
I know it's
Ooh, I
technically
like it.
scripted, whatever, but
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
hey,
I didn't
best
know those guys
talker
are
of all
athletes.
time. Yeah, best talker of all time, anyways, too.
Mm.
Like if you go back and like there's the prolific I Quit match with him and Mick Foley from the Royal Rumble, which I mean, it is not famous because of The Rock's trash talking. Because I think Mick Foley took like what 11 unprotected chair shots to the head, but whatever. But that match was good because you put The Rock in a match where you have to win by talking on the mic. So every time they put the mic by his mouth, he would just say some out of this world crazy funny shit, and it was just so good. Every time The
Oh,
Rock got in
yeah.
the mic back in the early 2000s, late 90s and stuff, it was he's gonna say something crazy.
Something gold. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
All
I
right,
like
what do
That's a
those.
y'all's
really good
go?
list. I like that. That's solid.
Yep.
So I had
What
Larry
would you
Legend as my first.
Larry Legend, yeah.
Because that, of
Yep.
course, that I was like, okay, he's the best trash talker. Two, I'm keeping it NBA. I'm keep taking Reggie Miller.
Okay.
Reggie
Ooh,
Miller
I
with
like that
Spike
one. I
Lee when
like
he's
that a
telling
lot.
it.
The yeah.
I was like, ooh. So I got Reggie Miller too, and then three. Oh, three. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take it WWE, but I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
real
yeah,
I
he's
was
up
thinking
there.
about that. That was a really good one. Yeah.
There's a bunch of other ones. There's a bunch of UFC fighters who are good. Sean Strickland is a great trash talker.
His
Mm.
trash talk is crazy.
He does not care about anything.
He definitely does
Oh
not care
my
about getting
gosh.
canceled. That's for sure.
Man, I saw some TikTok clips of him just speaking in interviews. Dude, he is wild, bro.
That's why.
I
That's
know
why we
there's one
love him.
specific one where he's talking to some girl. I don't know what the interview is. But he just kept talking about looking at her rack the whole time, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, man! I was like, he does
Oh
not care.
gosh. Yeah, he's a wild card for sure. My top three best trash talkers of all time. So number one, right off rip, I've got Conor McGregor. In his prime, I mean, that man was just backing up everything he was saying because he could, you know. He was the double champ at the time and he just talked his talk and backed it up. I mean, everybody in the world was paying attention to what Connor said because he had so much attention around him. So I thought it was really cool to see that in his prime and see the effect it had on the social media world.
He had that left hand. You never knew. He could always
Facts.
back it up.
So deadly with it.
Aldo.
But yeah, he was always just
Slip.
flying in for those KOs.
He's looking
But my
good.
number
Like
two,
I've seen some of
or
his
go ahead,
clips.
go ahead.
He's looking real good. I
He's
think
looking
The
juicy.
training
yeah,
clips?
he was no. He's toned down a little bit. He ain't that juicy like he that 210 he was walking around with. I'm like, yeah, you're on gear, homie. That's 100%.
I mean, he
Yeah,
got
he's
injured. I don't blame him. He went the old HGH route probably.
He was big.
yeah, he was, but maybe we'll get a fight next year with him. We'll see.
I hope to
You
see him
know,
at least one more time.
yeah, that would be nice. A little send off. But my number two spot might shock y'all. I'm a big Celtics fan. I do not have Larry Bird in there, even though he is one of the best trash talkers of all time. I've got the Detroit Pistons bad boys, Bill Lambier.
Oh, that's a
Ooh,
good
I
one.
didn't know you were gonna say that.
That's
I
a
thought you were
good
gonna say
one.
Garnett.
Or
Yes,
that's a good
against
one.
Yeah.
yeah, against MJ, man, them boys knew how to play physical back in the 80s and 90s. I mean,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
did not care the physicality, the toughness with the trash talk. I mean, it was crazy. So I think Bill Laimbeer was one of the best of all time for trash talking.
It's a really good pick.
My number 3, this is probably one of my favorites. It might shock y'all, but Seattle Seahawks, Legion of Boom, Richard
Okay.
Sherman
Yeah.
himself. Don't try me with a sorry receiver like Crabtree.
This is one of the most famous post-game interviews.
It is.
He's so good.
Oh, that's what you get when you try sorry. Oh man, I love that. That was crazy. So I mean, he could back it up as well. Whenever you had the Legion of Boom, Seattle, that defense is so iconic all time. So I loved watching Richard Sherman in his prime battling out against the best receivers in the 2010s. So I thought he would be my number 3 pick. So I really like that selection.
I mean, that defense embarrassed the Peyton Manning
Oh,
Broncos,
it
which
was
is insane.
Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas. They had Richard Sherman, everybody else
Percy
on that
Harvin.
defensive line, and linebacker Bobby Wagner. Yeah,
That team was just destined to win. That's like, I mean, nowadays they say like defense used to win championships, and I think it still does to an extent. But that team is an
Mhm.
example of why it does, because
exactly.
you can't score on a team. You're not winning a game.
Oh
Oh.
yeah, especially in the modern era where it's so aerial attack now.
There's only
Yeah.
been twice ever that the number 1 offense and the number 1 defense have met in the Super Bowl, and that was 2002 Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Oakland Raiders. Tampa won; their defense was better,
Yep.
and
Exactly.
then Seattle
One
versus
step.
Denver.
Yeah,
I mean,
Seattle
hey,
and Denver. Yeah, I remember that now. That you said that. Yep, that is very true.
so if you got like a top 3 defense, that'll work.
I mean, if you got a top 3 legit defense in the league paired with a solid, at best, offense, I mean, you're going to make a deep playoff push regardless because of your defense alone.
That's the only reason the Steelers are even 5-3 right now. Is because they
Steelers-
hold them to
Exactly.
20 and under every
Yeah.
game.
TJ
Like,
Watt
you either,
is
yeah.
amazing this year.
And he doesn't even show up on the stats. I saw PFF uploaded something today. It was like best lineman. Like they've made a roster, a defensive roster out of everyone so far this year, and they did not include Watt on that roster.
Watt's
Like
a
the best
candidate for
roster
Defensive
possible.
Player of the Year.
That's what I'm saying. He's gotten robbed twice already. He should have
Give
3.
it to him. I mean, yeah. Honestly, TJ Watt, I mean, he should be top 3 for Defensive Player of the Year voting right now, currently.
He's a
if
game
not.
wrecker. Like he will
He
just
is
straight up win you the
insane.
game.
He is insane.
There was a drive on Thursday against the Titans where they held him twice in a row, and he actually got called for it, which I was like, no way. Like, that never happens. He gets held every play, basically. But they got
Yeah.
backed up like 30 yards off of 2 penalties. They somehow converted it, and then later in that drive, he got his helmet ripped off and still got the sack.
I
Doesn't
saw
matter.
that. That was crazy whenever he got his helmet ripped off and still got the sack or the
Don't
tackle.
matter.
Yeah.
TJ's a
Don't
beast.
matter.
Y'all's
A
like
will finds a way.
conference's defense is just crazy.
Well, yeah. I mean, the Ravens are more offense for sure. They're
Yeah.
lighting
Yeah.
up the offense.
But like the Browns,
Yeah,
The Browns got a really good defense too.
I've been rocking them in fantasy low key, even though I hate them.
Yeah.
I'll never
They're
draft a
solid.
Saints player. I will never draft a Saints player.
I'll take the Browns defense. That's okay, but
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right, we'll go ahead and move on to our next segment. So, a little bit of college talk. Does Michael Penix Jr. legitimately have a shot at being drafted number 1 overall this year in April for next year's draft?
yeah, and y'all got this one. I don't watch college, so go ahead.
I don't think so. I like Michael Penix Jr. I think he's impressed me a lot with like his ability as a dual threat QB and just some of the games that they've won.
Mhm.
But I think there's still a lot of hype behind Caleb Williams. I also think about Marvin Harrison Jr. I think about and a lot of hype for Drake May. Not me personally, but a lot of people have a lot of hype for him.
Yeah.
Plus, you have Bo Nix also on top of that.
That's
There's a
very true.
lot
Jordan
of
Travis as well.
and Jordan Travis. That's a lot of QBs, and there's a lot of really good players in this draft. I think are just going to go above him. Not that he's bad. It's just I think more people are looking at the other guys than him.
I could see that. I mean, there's been so much buildup around Caleb Williams, so he's probably still going to go number 1 overall. But hear me out. I've got a little narrative for me. Yeah, I saw that this past weekend. But I do believe Michael Penix Jr. has a chance to go number 1 overall if Washington makes the college football playoff, and if they make the championship or win it, I think he has a good chance at being the number 1 overall pick. But he needs to have a really good, impressive pro day and draft combine. So I think if he has a good pro day and whenever they do the draft stuff, if he impresses the scouts, I think he will be the number 1 overall pick because USC is imploding right now. Their team is not making the playoffs, so Michael Penix Jr. has an opportune time to submit himself as the number 1 pick. So I'm gonna be very interested in seeing what happens and what unfolds. We'll have to wait and see.
Oh, well, see, it's just there's a lot, man. There's a lot
It
of
is.
there's a lot of players, and then he's great. Like that's the worst part. It's not that he's even bad. I just feel like more people are paying way more attention to everyone else, even though he's playing,
Yeah.
he's being a stud like he is. Like
Mhm.
I like him. Like if he comes to Tampa, I have no issue. I'd be happy to have him.
For
But
Caleb or Michael?
Michael,
Michael, yeah.
yeah, I don't want
You
Caleb.
don't like Baker?
No. I'll get on this for a second. I have no issue with Baker. Baker is playing great. Him and Joe Burrow have the exact same stats right now, which is crazy. And we need to fire our coach, get rid of him. Todd Bowles, you're gone. Done. Offensive coordinator, you might be gone too. It's not working. It's not Baker though. We have no run game. Our O line isn't looking that great. Our defense is, since the bye week, which we had it real early, we are the worst like passer rating of any, like against any QB. It's just awful. So
Damn.
no, it's time to rebuild. Just crush it,
But
rebuild.
going back to the Caleb Williams talk, then you can start a narrative about how much is it his fault actually? It's just, or is it just the defensive side of the ball for USC giving up that many points, and they're primarily the liability of why they're losing games. So if you put Caleb Williams in a better situation, like if he was at Washington or one of these better defensive teams in the country, he would be, you know, top 10 team in the country still. But because of their underperformance on the defensive side of the ball, they're not going to make the playoffs.
And that's fair. That's a fair assignment. But he did throw. Do you not remember him throwing the 3 picks in one half in the first half of a game?
He did.
His defense doesn't throw
Notre
picks.
Dame. Yeah. That is true. Besides that game, he's been pretty good though. So I think that's pretty much an outlier of a game. Needless to say, last year he had an insane year.
Mm-hmm.
He deserved the Heisman. This year, he is not following it up with a great campaign. So if I was Caleb Williams, I would have declared last year while you were still riding your high horse. He said he wanted to be a national champion and a Heisman winner, and you pay the price for sticking it out. You can either get hurt, or you can prove that you can get hurt, you can play worse, or you can rise above the occasion and play better. So
Yeah,
it's
it's a
big.
gamble.
It is a big gamble for sure. But we'll go ahead and move on to the next segment. I got a little fun little game we're gonna do. Start bench cut wide receiver edition.
Ooh.
So I'm gonna give y'all 3 names, and each of y'all individually let me know how you're gonna rank them. We got number 1, Jerry Jeudy. Actually, collectively, I'm gonna let you guys collectively set this up. So you have to agree on where you put them.
Okay.
All right.
We got Jerry Jeudy, Michael Pittman Jr. for the Colts, and Juju Smith-Schuster.
What
I
do you
want to
think,
put
Stash?
I want to put Juju too.
I think I would cut Juju right now at least.
Right now, or like this is right now, or is this all time?
This is right now.
Right now.
If it was prime Juju when he's on the Steelers, that dude was
And
a
you
third
could,
down conversion.
I was just, you could put him at 1 if it's prime Juju. But
like when he was on the Steelers, we'd go to him like 90% of the third downs, and we would convert so many of them just because he would make a play. But to be fair, he is on a dookie of an offense right now in New England.
Mac Jones throwing to you.
Yeah, like come on.
I feel like Juju would be 2 for me.
I mean, I could see that. So you would bench Juju or start him?
Oh no! I'd bench him. Or yeah, it's cut.
Start bench cut.
Oh yeah, never mind. No, I'd probably cut Juju right now because the offense is not producing, and it's not his fault really. You saw him; he did fine last year on Kansas City, so it's not. I don't think it's necessarily him.
He's not a receiver, like he can make plays on third down, but he's not a receiver that is gonna pop off and like have a crazy game like a Justin Jefferson or someone like that.
Right.
Like he's not gonna really win you the game necessarily, but he's like a solid option sometimes. It's just he's a very weird receiver, at least currently. I could see cutting him.
I kind of put Michael Pippen. I like Michael Pippen Jr.
Yeah, I would start him personally.
Yeah, put Judy on bench and then cut Juju right now.
Yeah, that's what I wrote down.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
That's what I would do.
I
Pittman's
agree
just
with you
solid.
guys. Yeah.
Judy, I think, is good. He's also on kind of a. I mean, none of them are on a great offense right now. Juju, I think, is
Yeah.
clearly like the worst one.
Hey,
But
Russell Wilson
Denver's
looks
kind of.
good this year. His stat
Yeah,
wise, he
He's
they're
looks
playing
starting
good.
to
better.
pick up. They're
Yeah, he's
starting
been
to pick
playing
up,
better.
aren't they?
They
They
look-
beat the Chiefs 2 weeks ago, I think.
yeah, like what in the world?
Come on now. All it took was
Put some
them
respect on
getting.
their name.
They got
Yeah.
70 points scored on them. I was like, all right, guys, we got to do something. But they're looking
Oh,
okay.
I love the list, guys. I love the list of where you rank these guys. I had the same list, so we're in agreement all the way through.
I bet.
We'll go ahead and move on to the next segment. We've got another little game. So, who is this player I'm thinking of? Guess that player edition.
I was
I'm
bad
gonna
at
give you
this
some
last time.
hints. I'm gonna give you some hints, and you got to guess this player. He played for the Florida Gators in college.
Okay.
I'm
He is
already
a corner. He is
corner.
a corner.
Oh, shit.
Shit.
He got drafted by the Cleveland Browns in 2010. That's all I'm giving you.
Oh shit.
Shit, I don't know college. Help me out, Stash.
I was trying to think of the Gators in 2010. That's what I'm trying to have. That's what I'm having to do.
You said Gators. I was like, oh, Tebow, easy.
He said cornerback. If he would have said anybody offense, I could have probably guessed it. I'm trying to think of defense right now. 2010. That was the year Tebow won it though. No, that was 08. So this is 2 years after Tebow, or near actually. So
You said he got drafted by the Browns?
Yes, and he played for the Steelers 2017 through
Oh,
2021.
okay. Joe Hayden.
Bing, bing, bing,
Hey,
bing.
good
I
job.
was thinking when you said Browns, I was like, what college did Joe Hayden go to?
Yeah, yeah. There you go. I shouldn't have said that, but you win. You win.
Now
You got it.
before you even said Steelers, I had Joe Hayden in my head, but then you said that, and I was like, okay, yeah,
Oh yeah.
that's Joe Hayden.
Yes, sir.
I couldn't think of Browns. I was
The-
trying to think of Gators. That was like the better instinct for me.
Well, I knew
the-
that the Gators were kind of good in 2010, right? Like they weren't terrible.
No, it was,
So
it was 1 year after Tebow because Tebow graduated in 09.
Mhm.
And then my thought process was you said Browns, and so the Browns they stink, so they're gonna have a low draft pick. So they drafted him. They probably it was probably pretty good if they drafted him early.
Yeah.
Well, it was Joe Hayden probably because he's pretty good.
Yeah, he was the 7th overall pick.
Damn.
Yeah, I didn't even know he was that early.
Hmm. 3-time Pro Bowler, putting some respect on Joe Hayden's name.
Hey, yeah,
so.
he's solid. I think he retired a little too early, if you ask
Yeah.
me. But get out while you can, I guess.
Yeah, that's the truth. He was a speedy little boy.
Yeah, he started having a little Patrick Peterson action at least this year. He started getting a little slower, but
Yeah, that is true. Unfortunately,
Is Fitzpatrick
he's still
healthy?
got the brain on him. He's healthy, but he's not producing really. He had a
Joey
pick
Porter
a couple
Jr.
weeks ago, I think. Yeah,
Joey
he's really good.
Porter.
I think he leads the league right now in like whatever, like 50 plus, like whatever a snap count total. It's like he leads the league in lowest passer rating allowed, and like I think he's allowed
Yeah.
1 catch all year for like 12 yards when he has a pick. He's been
Hmm.
really good for us.
That's good. We'll go ahead and move on to the next segment, everybody. So, who is the better quarterback all time, Alex Smith or Andy Dalton? I'll go ahead and start with you, Stash.
Alex Smith.
That's what I was thinking.
Alex Smith, easy. Alex Smith. I don't even. Have you ever watched Andy Dalton play? That should explain it.
And he had Dalton almost, or not Dalton. He had AJ Green all those years in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I think that helped. a
AJ
lot.
Green made
Way
Andy
better.
Dalton. 100%.
That is
Alex
true.
Smith took a little bit to get going, but like he was on the Chiefs right before Patrick Mahomes, and the Chiefs were really good.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I mean, to be fair, like the Chiefs they had Andy Reid and stuff, like they're good coaching and stuff. But I mean, Alex Smith, he is not necessarily one of those QBs that will like win you every game. He can sometimes, but he's not gonna lose you a game. I don't think.
He's a great game manager. One of the best to ever do it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
watching him, he just pays attention to the field. He's really good. He was really accurate. Yeah, Alex Smith, man. Comeback player of the
I'm
year.
gonna disagree with you boys. I'm gonna go
What?
with Andy Dalton.
Are you
Come on
crazy?
now.
Yeah,
We're gonna
no,
do some good
here.
reasoning here.
I'm gonna spill my reasoning. Listen, I've got some stats for you guys. Okay, so
Okay.
Alex Smith career passing yards 35,650. Andy Dalton's career passing yards 38,510.
They play
Roughly
the same
3,000.
amount of years.
Yeah, how many years did they play?
3,000 more. So the amount of years Andy has played, he's still playing, but he's a backup, so he's played
Yeah.
more.
He
But
played this season
so-
though.
huh?
He played this season.
Who?
Andy Dalton.
Yeah, I
He's
think I,
he's a backup currently.
Yeah, I know, but he did play this season. He played for the game where Bryce Young was hurt.
Mm-hmm.
he
Yeah.
passed a good bit of yards, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
They didn't
Yeah, I
run the
saw.
ball.
I looked up their stats, and this year, this year he had like 358 yards, I think. So that was a pretty good game from him.
Very true. And then also touchdowns. Alex Smith has 199 versus Andy Dalton has 246. But he has more interceptions than Alex Smith. He has 144 picks versus Alex Smith is 109. So it's pretty even across the board, but I'm gonna take Andy Dalton because he has more passing yards, touchdowns, and he made the playoffs for like what 5 years in a row. Did not win a single game in the playoffs, but he took that Cincinnati team 5 years in a row.
Joe
I
Burrow.
mean, yeah, I could honestly see taking either one. It just
Because
depends.
that defense for Cincinnati was atrocious, man, up until like the late 2010s.
That's
So
the Bungles.
yeah.
AJ Green was really good though. I wonder what his stats would look like without AJ.
That is very true.
That's what I want to see.
Because yeah,
Who's like? Does Alex Smith have like a go-to receiver? I can't even think of one of like his career.
He had I think he had Anquan Bolden for like a year.
mm-hmm.
Okay.
He had Anquan Bolden in San Francisco. He had a young Travis Kelsey for like a couple years. Vernon Davis was a huge one in San Francisco.
Oh, that was
Other
him.
than that, not really. I mean, Frank Gore, running back, but
Yeah.
that's about it. I mean, you could go either way. If Alex Smith wouldn't have got hurt, I would have went Alex Smith. But that nasty leg injury,
Yeah, that was
man,
awful.
that was so bad. So I'm gonna give it the slight edge to Andy, but you could go either way, honestly, with that. I'm not mad if someone said Alex Smith.
Depends on the
Well,
team you're trying to build, I guess. Honestly.
exactly. Yeah, your style of offense and stuff like that. We'll go ahead and move to the next segment. This is a very interesting topic. Who has a better chance of making the playoffs? The Rams or the Saints? We'll start with you, Spencer.
So I'm gonna go with Saints on this one, just because they've won 2 in a row, kind of a little hot streak, and I think if you're gonna start heating up, like around now is the time to do it. I mean, preferably closer to the playoffs, but now's not a bad time for sure. And they're number 1 in their division right now, and they have an easier division overall, I think, because the Rams are on a 3-game loss streak, which is not good. Pretty sure Matthew Stafford is pretty. He's not like hurt, but like I don't know if he's gonna be playing this week, but he hasn't really been playing that much. And yeah, they have the 49ers in their division, which if the 49ers are healthy, they're the best team in the league, in my opinion.
No doubt.
I agree, 100%.
They just got Chase Young, which is messed up that they even allowed that.
That's valid. Yeah, that's pretty wild.
I feel bad for Aaron Donald though. He needs to come to Pittsburgh for real.
Chase Young is for the white QBs.
What does that mean? Explain, man.
You haven't seen you know what I'm talking about. You've seen the clips about Nick Bosa and who he.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what Chase Young's for.
All right. Evens out.
Oh man. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go. If you asked me a couple weeks ago, I might have said Rams. I'm gonna go with the Saints right now currently because they're more healthy. They play in an easier division. I mean, Matthew Stafford's hurt. He's banged up. So they signed Carson Wentz, man. That's how desperate they are.
I saw that. That was crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't think he'd be playing again, to be
I
honest.
mean, Cooper Kupp and Puka Nakua, that's a really good duo at the receiver spot. But if you don't have a quarterback to throw you the ball, what good is it? Because Stafford's constantly hurt. And that defense is pretty much non-existent besides Aaron Donald and a couple other players. So,
I mean, to be fair, Carson Wentz's style is just throwing it up there and saying, "Screw it, someone go get it." And I mean, Cooper Kupp and Puka are they could probably go get it.
The best
might work
guy
out
for that. Yeah.
Wentz might be going on a redemption arc right now.
That could have like a little Baker arc there.
They could make a run here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
run the table, but
I'm gonna take the Saints as well. It makes me feel sick saying, but I absolutely hate the Saints. But yeah, no, I think the Saints have the best shot. I think that out of all the teams in the NFC South, I think they have the most complete team on the offense and the defensive side of the ball. I don't think they have the best QB in the NFC South, but I do think that they have the best all-around team. And like you said about the hot streak they're on, that's a very valid point. And that you're right, 100% right. right now is the perfect time to get hot.
Yeah.
Get a lot of momentum going, keep it rolling. And the division's not that great. We have Carolina, who's 1-9 now, 1-8.
Yeah, I think so.
So no, I'm in agreement. I think the Saints have the better shot. The Rams, I just maybe like you said, a couple weeks would have been great. But Matthew Stafford not being there is going to hurt them. He was playing at a really good level this year too, especially after coming off the injuries of last year and having Cooper Cup back and Puka.
Exactly.
Great wide receiver
Yeah.
duo.
I agree 100%. We'll go ahead and move on to our last segment of the day. Everybody, who would be the top 3 best bench pressing quarterbacks in the NFL?
This one was a crazy question when I read it. I was like,
Okay. Taking size in comparison.
We'll go ahead and start with you, Spencer.
all right. A lot of thought went into this one, just so you
Oh,
know.
yeah.
But so first, I'm just probably gonna take Jalen Hurts. He's like the
Yeah.
most proven because
Yeah.
he actually has been. He's been in powerlifting competitions. Like if you go to like openpowerlifting.org, like he has records there. I looked, and his best bench is 280, which is not bad. Which also means he knows how to bench. Like he actually
Yeah.
probably has a decent arch and stuff like
Exactly.
that. He doesn't do like a because if this is a competition on football bench, you allow him to come down and bounce that sucker. Hey, he might go 300, get an extra 20
Yeah.
pounds.
That's
So
true.
I'm taking him at number 1 just because he's the most proven.
Mm.
And then number 2, this is where it just becomes a shit show. I don't know who to put after this really, but I was just looking. This question ruined my search history. I was looking up like some like quarterback body. I gotta see how jacked they are.
Oh, God.
So for number 2, I'm gonna take Russell Wilson because he's low key kind of jacked, and he's shorter, so he's probably got shorter arms, which is
Yeah.
better leverages for the bench press. I could honestly see in him maybe bench more than Jalen. Just depends.
Yeah.
He is kind of like an alien too. He might not be human. We're not sure. But then number 3, I'm going with Dak Prescott just because he's pretty jacked too, and
Yeah, he is.
I like this. I like these.
he looks compact. He looks like he has dense muscle. He looks like he'd be stronger than you think.
I agree.
He got dropped on his head the other night, and he just got right back up.
Bro was built different.
If we're going all
So-
time, though, I'm easily putting Tim Tebow number 1.
Oh, 100% with Tim
easily,
Tebow. If you're
easily,
taking all
for
time.
sure.
I saw a video just earlier when I was researching this of him just repping out the 225
Shoo.
like no other.
It's crazy. I like the list though. That's respectable. What about you, Stash? Who's your top 3?
So I'm taking QBs all time. This is actually a
No,
rookie.
not all time. Just
Oh,
current.
Current. I'm taking a rookie. I just think number 1, I'm taking the rookie. I'm taking Anthony Richardson.
Oh,
He's a big
What
dude.
about him?
He's a big dude.
That
So
is
like,
true.
He would for sure be the top 3.
so I'd take Anthony Richardson at number 1. Then I would probably Jalen Hurts is a freak of nature when it like he squats like 600 pounds. Like dude can do a lot. I'm gonna take Jalen Hurts 2, and then 3. 3's hard because I'm like trying to think of all these QBs and like size differences, like who taller and everything, and I'm thinking about a bench press. Like that one, like that third spot's really hard to think about. But I don't know. I'd probably go with maybe Tua. Tua's kind of a bigger guy. I might go with him.
I thought about throwing him on there on my
Maybe.
list.
I wouldn't do hip thrusts with him because like he like
Yeah.
or skull crushers, but
That's a bad exercise for him for sure.
Yeah, I like that list for both of y'all. So I'm gonna spill mine real quick. Number 1 overall, you guys did not name him. Will Levis. This man is yoked, bro. Will
He ain't
Levis
that
is
jacked. Come on now.
he's big, man. Look at his arms. So I think he has a good upper body. I think he could beat.
Pause.
I think he could beat 280. I think he could beat 280.
I gotta look it up real quick. I got a second monitor. Don't worry. Okay, his arms are nice.
That's,
No homo.
see, exactly. No, exactly. But yeah. I think Will Levis would be pretty good at 1. So my number 2 spot, I got Jalen Hurts. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. He's just one strong dude. I mean, in the weight room, like you said, he's got records to show. And number 3, I've got Josh Allen. I think he would be really good at the bench press. I thought about Anthony Richardson or Josh Allen. I'm gonna go with Allen barely. I think he's just got brute force. I mean, on the field, you see it, stiff arming people. I think he could, rip out a good amount.
He's a little pudgy though. You think?
That is true, but I mean he has longer arms too. That definitely hurts on bench press. But I think he is really strong. He can throw it a mile. So I think he's got a good chance at putting top 3 numbers up. But I will say for Will Levis, I think that Jalen Hurts could squat a lot more than that man. But we're just
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about pure chest strength and just arm. I think Levis could probably beat him in a bench press competition.
I'm looking right now in 2015, Jalen Hurts, he had a 1430 total at 197 weight class, so 570 squat, which is pretty crazy for that weight.
Ooh.
That
Then
is
he had a
wild.
275 bench. He had 280 of the competition before. His all-time best is 280. And then, but
Hmm.
in that one, he had 570 squat, 275 bench, and then a 585 deadlift. So his deadlift and squat's actually pretty close.
Yeah. The
He's
mailman
just a
himself,
squat machine.
Will Levis, the mailman.
I don't even think I was looking up like bench press stats, but none of the QBs who are actually in the NFL did the bench press in the combine.
Mm.
Is there a reason behind that you guys know? Because
I don't
most
know.
QBs don't do the bench press in the
Yeah,
combine.
they usually don't, for some reason. I don't know why.
I just
See, I mean, Will Levis is pretty. He's a large man, 6'4", 230. I
Mm.
can see that.
True.
Who would be the weakest bench presser in the NFL?
Mac Jones.
Ooh,
Kyler
that's the
Murray.
question. No.
You think Kyler Murray? Kyler
No,
Murray's
he
got them
shouldn't.
stubby arms though. He's like
Yeah.
he's a midget.
Yeah, once it comes down though, he can't get it back up. It won't reach.
He only has to move it like 3 inches.
Oh.
That is a good question. I would probably go with, dude. You know who we forgot to put on the list that might make it close in the top 3?
Who?
Derek Carr.
He's low key a little jacked. And he looks a little crazy in the head. You know, looks like he might have some like mental asylum strength.
Oh goodness, but I think the worst bench presser in the league currently, someone that's just weak looking.
Zach Wilson.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that's valid. Zach Wilson, maybe Daniel Jones.
Hey, Daniel Jones ain't bad. I looked him up. I was looking up his body. You know, he ain't bad. I was thinking about putting him on there.
Oh
He's got
god.
some forearms on him. You know.
Yeah. Oh gosh, Kirko. No, Kirko's low key strong.
I
So,
know that what was that video of after the game? He had all the chains on.
yeah,
Hey, he was looking a
Iced
little yoked.
up.
facts. I don't know. I'd probably go Zach Wilson as probably not the most strongest guy in the league. He'd probably be the weak link out.
He's busy with the Cougars. He don't got time for the bench.
Oh man.
All
That's
time
fast.
weakest would be like I wonder how much Brady benches. I've always wondered that.
290. Nah, probably like
90.
He probably could
probably
bet.
like,
I would say probably 300.
No shot.
100%.
no. Brady could probably bench press like 220, 230.
I was just like 205 maybe.
Brady puts like $1 million into his body every year, like LeBron.
Yeah, but he also is like 84.
Yeah. I think 220, 210 would be like around the range he could get.
He was still playing football at 83.
He's more into
I thought that dude would never leave.
calisthenics, though. He's not more into like heavy lifting, I would say. Like trying to
Yeah,
be
he's
fit,
more into like
you know?
fitness. He doesn't really care about strength, I don't think.
Yeah.
Unless there's something crazy in that pistachio ice cream he's eating. I don't know.
Oh goodness. Well, everybody, we will wrap up with that. That has been the last segment of the day. We've enjoyed our special guest, Spencer. Appreciate you joining with us today.
Appreciate you having me on.
Yes, sir. So with that being said, we are out. It's been a pleasure, JT, and
The stash, baby.